Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Upside Down. If you watched my most anticipated of January video and my new segment, My Excitement For video, you know that I was super excited for the new Scream movie. So here are my spoiler-free thoughts on Scream 2022. "25 years after the original series of murders in Woodsboro, a new Ghostface emerges, and Sidney Prescott must return to uncover the truth." This movie is directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett. It's written by James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick. This film stars Neve Campbell, Courteney Cox, David Arquette, Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, Marley Shelton, Dylan Minnette, Jack Quaid, Jasmin Savoy Brown, Mikey Madison, Sonia Ammar, and Mason Gooding. So I was hyped out of my mind for this because Scream is like my favorite horror franchise. I absolutely love it. Just check out my Excitement For video if you want to know more about what my excitement going into this movie was. I generally think that the Scream franchise, there's ones that are varying in quality, of course, but for the most part, I think that the Scream franchise is one of the best horror franchises because even like the ones that are still pretty enjoyable, still pretty fun, still pretty good. And that thought for me does not change after seeing the new movie, but I did have some issues with it, but we will get to that. I think that it was great to see the legacy characters again. I will get more into the legacy characters in my spoiler review, but I do think that some of them may have been underused, is what I'll say here. But it was great seeing them again. Right when I got home from my first viewing of this, I've seen it twice at the filming of this review. I saw it the first time in 40X and then the second time just regular. But right when I got home from my first viewing, I popped in the first Scream, the original. So I watched Scream 1 and Scream 2, and then I watched Scream 3 and Scream 4 the next day. I went right into Scream 5 for my second viewing, right from just watching the 4. And that is something I recommend for this. I think that Scream fans are going to appreciate and like this movie a lot more than people that haven't seen all of the other movies, or it's been a very long time, or they're not a fan of it. You're gonna get a lot more out of this movie, the new one, if you are a big fan of Scream. So I love seeing the legacy characters. I think for the most part I do like the new characters and the actors playing them. There's some iffy acting here and there, I won't lie. But I do think Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera, for the most part, do a good job in their roles. It's good seeing Dylan Minnette. I'm a fan of him for most of his other stuff, not The Open House. I thought Jack Quaid, it was fun seeing him after seeing him in The Boys. I liked him. He was funny in this. Mason Gooding, it was really good to see. I liked him, but I think him and a lot of the other people in the friend group kind of just were there at times, or were way underused. You know, you didn't really get to care for all of them, I think, but I think that they give good performances for the most part, but they just were there. It was just like to be there. There's some iffy things with some of the acting, like I said, but I think Jenna Ortega especially, I think was phenomenal. I thought she did a great job. She has the opening scene, and I think that the opening scene was just great. When that title card came, I was like, I'm gonna love this movie. Now, I didn't love it, but I did like it for the most part. I heard all these great reviews coming in, and then, so I got my expectations too high, I think. So I love meta humor. I love the Scream series. I mean, that's one of the reasons I love the Scream series, is because of its meta-ness. Is because it's meta. But I think that sometimes in this one it's just too meta. I still was very entertained by a lot of it, and I still really liked it. You know, got some chuckles here and there, and that's, like I said, what I love about this franchise, is because it is meta. It's a love letter to the horror genre, but it's also a parody of it. But I just think this one was just overly meta at times, and the humor with that, or even just the humor in general, didn't always land for me, at least. But when it did, it was really funny. I think that it is clever and witty, because sometimes you can do meta the wrong way. Just because something's meta does not mean it's always good. But I think that for the most part, the Scream franchise, including this one, do meta very well. I thought there were some really cool shots and some great suspense in here, especially my first time watching it. There's just some great suspense that also added to some humor. I think you'll know what I'm talking about, but like the meta humor was there. But I think that they did a really good job with, you know, the straightforward suspense and scares and horror of it all. There weren't really any jump scares, I'd say, but although throughout the Scream franchise there's not really that many jump scares, but it was really well done. I thought that it was shot well, it was directed well. I thought that these directors were definitely up for the job, and I think that they did a pretty good job. And at the end it does say for Wes, and they also named a character, Dylan Minnette's character, they named him Wes. So I loved that, you know, and I love the different homages to horror, like Sam Carpenter is one of the characters' names. All throughout the Scream franchise there's a really good homage to horror. I think that this was a really good tribute to Wes. I think Wes Craven would have been satisfied with this sequel or requel or reboot or whatever you want to call it, I think he'd be satisfied with it. It was making fun of even the first Scream, but it was doing it the way Scream does. The kills were really good, and it was really brutal, and it showed the kills. You just on screen, you would have a knife stabbing through someone's face or stabbing through someone's neck, and then it would hold on there when the knife's coming through one end of the neck and then through the other end of the neck. I thought that was really well done. So some of the negatives, like I said, I think that sometimes it's too meta. It's like meta to a fault. Even though I loved a lot of it, I do like a lot of it. I think that a lot of it is done well, but I just think it's meta to a fault. Another thing I was not satisfied with was the reveal. To me, it was unsatisfying. I didn't personally guess it, but it was just when you found out, I was like, okay. The reveal was just not satisfying, and some of the twists and turns, you know, along the way, I didn't find too satisfying. And I will, of course, get into all these negatives more in my spoiler review. So I liked the things surrounding the reveal, and even after the reveal, I really loved the third act. I think it's a great third act. But the reveal was just a letdown for me. So let me get to my 40X experience for this one and tell you guys if it's worth it in 40X. I say 100% yes, because the movie's not even bad anyway. The 40X enhances that experience, especially for this movie. I was a little curious because Spiral was actually my first 40X experience, and that was a horror movie. So I was like, okay, horror could be fun in 40X maybe. And Spiral was actually a really good time in 40X. And I think that this was a really great time in 40X. It added to the tense atmosphere. Like there would be wind blowing even when they're inside and stuff. The wind is blowing when it's supposed to be creepy and intense and just chilling, and it did that. The first shot is of a house while the phone is ringing, and you just feel wind on you, and it's very chilling. I'm kind of getting goosebumps right now. They used the wind aspect of 40X very well throughout this whole movie, I thought. When something scary does happen, or you know, it's supposed to be a jump or a scare, the seat like shakes a little, so so that added to this experience. The seat shaking, the wind really added to this experience. When there was blood splatter, the water would shoot at you. That was really cool. The seats would just move with whatever action's going on. It's just really fun. So yes, I do think that it's worth it in 40X. If you're curious about this movie, I think you still will have a fun time with the movie. But I do think that 40X does enhance the experience, so I do recommend seeing it in 40X. There's not many movies so far that I would say no about 40X, because I do think it's a fun experience. But if that sounds fun, you know, the wind and everything adding to the scares, I think that you could have a fun time. So like I said, I do recommend it. 40X enhances this experience for this horror movie. Before I get to my grade, what did you think of Scream, the new one? What do you think of the Scream franchise? Please comment down below. Let me know all your thoughts on the new Scream. Blow up that comment section. But what would I give Scream? Scream gets a 7.5 out of 10 from me. That's a 7.5 out of 10 for Scream. If you liked what you've seen here and you want to see something else, please click around here to see some other content from me. Please like this video, comment on this video, share this video with the Scream fans in your life, hit that notification bell, subscribe, and come to the Upside Dan.